How you going, guys? Good afternoon. We'll start a video in the afternoon. Hey? Bit of a first? Well, probably not. But so, I'm still making the end of the last video, which will be 136, so this will be 137. So I've just finished making that piece for the other door opening, and I've started making, well, I'm about to start making the other one. I've got a couple of pieces cut out, but I haven't got any further than that. But I'm not going to show making the other one. I'm just going to show the end result later on, and I won't show any of making it in this video either. Maybe not. But the reason I'm starting this video is because we've got the unveiling of the colour. It's in this box that was delivered. So I'll open it and have a look. We'll open it and have a look. You can possibly see the address on there, but not really. I'm not too worried about it because it's the address of the workshop too, so find it. Right, so what have we got in here? Well, that's some reducer. We'll sit that down there somewhere. Right, what have we got in here? Let's open the box and more. So, I know this is dangerous goods. Declaration for freight over here. Ooh. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? So, 2 lots of hardener, fast hardener, and fast hardener. Right, that's cool. So one of these will be black. Don't think we need to see that. We know what black looks like. But what we want to see is technical data. Throw that down there in the road. Throw that down there. Unless you want to read the newspaper, no? Probably wouldn't be a newspaper, it would be a Southland Express or something like that. I don't think many people get the newspaper anymore. Actually, where is the newspaper? Because they bolted it down to build the new piece in town. I don't know whether they moved the newspaper or actually... No, I actually think it made in another city now. Crazy. Right. So, in theory, this is blue. But what blue? And is it magically red? I don't know. Oh, it looks blue. Wow, geez, that's bright, isn't it? It's quite bright, dark blue. That's going to be kind of loud, actually. Cool colour. It's just a flat, like a, not flat colour, but just a straight colour. There's no metallica or anything in it. But yeah, that's going to stand out. It's definitely, I thought it might have been a wee bit darker than that, a bit deeper. But yeah, that's the colour. Right. So I'll carry on with the last video and finish that. Morning, guys. So I'll carry on with that other side, get that thing hopefully finished today, and maybe get into something else. I'm not 100% sure what I'll do after that. I might look at these little trim pieces maybe for the, the opening of the door, the little sill kick, trim plate, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, well, that's where I'm at the moment. On a slightly sadder note, Rachel's brother, we actually found out a few days ago that Rachel's brother, for about the last year, he's a little bit younger than Rachel. He'd be like, I think he'd be like 40. She's 43, so he might be 40, 41. He's a couple of years younger. But about a year ago, he noticed that he was starting to lose feeling or in his fingertips. I don't know whether it was one arm or the exact details, but and they've been trying to hunt out what the reason was. You know, it was pinched nerves or all that sort of stuff. But it's been getting worse, and he's been slowly losing his feeling up his arm. Like, I think he can still use it, but it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And obviously they've been hunting and doing tests and all sorts of things. But now he's actually starting to lose feelings in his legs as well. Just starting. I don't know whether it's in his toes or what. But so I think Monday he was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, which is just absolutely gut-wrenching. Poor Rachel's it's been a pretty rough week, to be honest. I've been sort of, I don't know, it wasn't until probably last night, partway through the night, because Rachel's he's been so busy getting tests and bits and pieces and all that sort of things, and obviously going around the family and all that sort of stuff over there. Rachel hasn't really had a chance to try and talk to him, but she was hoping to talk to him yesterday, but just didn't get a chance with obviously with meds to try and, I don't know whether to help with pain or what, or to maybe prolong his life. I'm not 100% sure, but it must have made him pretty tired yesterday, so he went to bed. Like he can't work anymore. He hasn't been able to work for a while. I'm not sure exact length of time, but it's been a while. You know, a couple of 3 months, 4 months sort of type thing, I think, because he was just got to the point where he couldn't do things. You know, he just didn't have the power in the arm, or couldn't hold things because he couldn't feel the grip, sort of type thing. So he's out of work now, obviously. I'm not sure exact circumstances but basically he can't go back to work. He can still drive at the moment, but not very far, all those sorts of things. And now that he's said in the last few days he can feel that it's starting to affect his legs, he can feel his legs getting weaker, and there's nothing he can do about it. Absolutely awesome guy, totally awesome guy. It's frickin' cruel, eh? Like it's really stupid. Yeah, it's great, really gut-wrenching, because he sent her a message, and I don't know, it must have been partway through the night, and he just said, you know, love you, you know, big sister type thing. So yeah, and that's when it really started affecting me after I heard that, because she sat up and, you know, both sort of broken sleep, you know, the last few nights, and just all that sort of stuff. And once she read that out, yeah, I think I just spent from 5 o'clock this morning up, yeah, because I couldn't sleep because of it. And all she wants to do is just get on a plane and go see her brother, but because of, you know, the COVID restrictions and lockdowns, and so she's going to try and find out what she needs to do to try and get over and see her brother before, you know, he's too ill to maybe do something with, you know, and share those, because this diagnosis is, from what we've read and what the doctors have said, from the first symptoms, and most people with this disease have probably a minimum sort of 2 to 3 years to live. So he's already through one. It's been a year since the first symptoms of his fingers starting to go funny. So it's normally minimum 3 years, 2 years, at a real worst case scenario, to maybe, you know, sort of heading towards 10. That's like, there has been some people got to 10 years, like that's sort of the 3 to 10 years average, I think is sort of that medium average, if you know what I mean. Some people obviously don't last that long, and there might have been the old one got past that, but it just depends on how quick it develops, I guess. So yeah, pretty sad. So obviously she wants to get over there and at least see him while he's still fairly able to do things and get out and have a bit of, family time. So it's totally understandable, which makes it really tough. So yeah, and these COVID restrictions and shit, and this new Omicron, like, I don't know, it sucks because they've got the whole world locked up like Fort Knox because of all this stupid shit. I know a lot of parts of the world aren't heavily vaxxed, but there's a lot of parts of the world that are fairly heavily vaxxed now. Like, I think most of New Zealand's done, like we're sort of that somewhere between 85 and 90% for the whole of New Zealand, within that ballpark, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure about Australia, but I think it must be getting up towards there too. So yeah, like, I don't know, I know this disease is just going to keep spreading, and people, but if most people are vaxxed, like, like I've said it before, you take your chances and you just get on with life. They need to let us to get on with life. So with people with this sorts of situations, somebody in their family's sick or dying or whatever, or have died, we need to be able to move around, go to these different places and just get on with life. It's just retarded. It really is. And this brings it home, it's just like, you just screwing with people's lives for the sake of it. We've lived with diseases and all that sort of shit for eternity. You've got the vaccines out there. It should be up to the people now to whether they get it or they don't get it, and they, we take it into our own hands. Stop controlling the world and let everybody get on with their lives. People's jobs, families, businesses, we're all suffering somehow or another. Just let us get back to some sort of normality, and we either, you either wear a mask or you don't. You either get the jab or you don't. Whether you get your booster shot down the road or whatever, you're either going to get sick or you're not. You're either going to die or you're not. You can't control it. Like, it's that time frame when we first heard about it in early or late 2019, when there was this little news clip come across the thing, some new freaking deadly flu that was found in China. Like, they lost that window freaking 2 years ago. They lost that window of time to, they could have shut the borders around China, and the rest of the world could have shut the borders to China, let it get over its thing and done. Like, it's spread around the world. We only heard about that, the new Omicron variant or whatever the frick it's called, in South Africa, like a couple of 3 weeks ago, and it's spread around the world, and there's hundreds of thousands of cases of it probably now, like, it's beyond control. We just get on with life. You either get vaxxed or you don't, and just get on with it. It's retarded. We're just screwing with people's lives, and I think needlessly, we just got to get on with it, and deal with it, and be done. Right, that's that over. I'll get on with some work. Right, now I've got over me everything, and I'm actually concentrating on working. I've got this far. I've got the hole cut in here. I got this relieved a little bit. I'm going to have to relieve it a little bit more once I actually put the other piece in there. I've placed one screw hole. I took the measurement from the other side, obviously, and took from this edge up to roughly the center. It mightn't be that exact, but it's within a mil or two. And then, yeah, now that I know the door closes, I can start welding this piece in here, and I'll just leave a little bit of a gap around it, and then I can obviously blend it in and whatever, and then we can make the front bit. I've got my pattern here from the last one, and it does fit, so it's handy. I wasn't sure if well, I'm assuming that because this here is original. It should be the right arc. But you never know. It was made in 1925. You would never know whether it was exactly the same or not, but it looks like it's close. So we'll be in the ballpark. Whether I've got that the right way up, down, left or right, I don't know. Well, that might have been down there. Yeah, look at that. The mark down there says that was the hole. Yeah, that fits better. Oh, look at that. Yeah, sweet, so I can use that. I will have to extend this one as well because I cut that at the same time as I cut the other one, as you've probably seen. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'll bring you back when we get quite a bit further. I won't show you all the making bits. I'll just bring you back and show you little bits and pieces. See, the Irishman's back. I like making funny noises. Alrighty. So I'm about here. I've actually got, it's a little bit high. I've got to take some more off the bottom of this. A bit more just to bring it down a little bit on that edge. And I might have to I've only tacked it on the inside. I might have to grind this over a little bit. It's sticking too far this way, I think. So it should be. It needs to pull in at the bottom. So I need to grind this edge off a bit and pull it over, and probably might have to just build that edge up a little bit when I put it. So yeah, I need to cut it off, probably just trim it back a little bit, probably actually where that black line is. Probably wouldn't be far away if I could just ground that off and then just move that over. Cut the tack somewhere, move it over a little bit. And obviously bring it, yeah, take some material off the bottom of it just so it can sit, just roll sort of down and just, you know, pull that edge down all the way around a little bit. So I'm not far away. Kind of the same process I went through there with the other one. I did that a little bit differently. I screwed it down and made the piece fit underneath, which is probably what I should have done with this one. I sort of made it close, then I tacked it on and thought, oh, I'll grind it off the bottom. But yeah, 1.5 dozen the other, I suppose. And just, yeah, I need to get it fitting a little bit better yet. Because I can't quite close the door. It's hitting at the... It's hitting at the top of it like it's going to clear down the bottom within reason. But yeah, it's touching up here, or sort of this top sort of couple of, well, 1.5, 2.5 inches sort of top thing. But anyway, I'm going to go have some lunch. I haven't filmed much today, I just don't feel like it. Yeah, no, look, there's no point showing you another 1.5 hour video of doing the same as what I did the other day. I just thought I'd bring you back and just throw you a couple little updates as I'm getting through it. And at some point I'll get onto something else. Yeah, I'll catch you later on. Alrighty, so just a wee update. I'm about to go home. I'm almost finished this one. You know, I've got to obviously give it a bit of clean up. I've got to still drill a hole down here. I've got to wet a bit more material on the back to countersink the holes. Tidy up here. And just to give it a general clean up basically. So yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. I'm welding around here and just, you know, just clean all these little pieces up properly. You know, file it off properly and all that sort of stuff, but at least it fits now. When I welded it together, it sort of sprung way out here, so I had to just manipulate it and get it to pull back around. It's amazing how much it straightened out. But yeah, it fits now. Yeah, by the time I put the screw in there, it'll be good. That's cool. So yeah, hopefully after I got this done, I'll have something a bit more interesting again to do. And make a bit more of a video about it. I'll probably, I might be just about back to, well, I might make those little trim pieces for in the bottom of the door, in the opening. We'll try and work that out the next day or two, probably Monday sort of type thing. And possibly get into those, the side balances and that front balance, and you know, and wet sand some bits and pieces in between, obviously waiting for body filler and whatever else, you know, over the next few days until we can get close enough to painting this thing. You know, like I'm only basically a wet sand away, and maybe the odd little mark, and maybe a quick reprime for a few spots, sort of thing. But for the main part of the body, I think. So yeah, I just wanted to get some of this stuff done. Oh, now the only other thing I want to do is remake this wood stuff in the front. Hold on. Yeah, I would like to just replace the wood in this stuff before I paint too, just so I can test fit a couple of times, and then we can, when I do probably the last prime on this thing, I'll blow a couple of coats on the inside of this, and we'll give it a quick sand out, and then we'll blow some colour in here, sort of type thing. I'll still need to do that too. Still need to put the I probably would have had it done if I didn't start fluffing around with this stuff, but you need to get that rust converter in there and get some stone guard stuff in here. Still need to do that. I really should start writing myself a list of things to do before I paint. We'll get to that stage, otherwise I'll be ready to paint and I would have forgotten something. So yeah, it mightn't hurt. I'll start writing myself up a list. Actually, I should get myself a whiteboard, eh? That might be a stupid idea, and then I can actually put some stickers on it too down the side of it. But get myself a whiteboard and write down a list of things I need to do. Like obviously finish this, finish that, make the front floors, get those trim pieces made, and any other little pieces, and things like that. But anyway, we'll see you tomorrow, and I'll do the last little pieces on that and throw that in the video somewhere. Morning guys, so Saturday morning. I'm only going to be here for a couple of hours. All I want to do is get that stuff finished. Obviously to build up my last few hours for the week. So yeah, I'm just going to get that cleaned up, finished off, and make it look like the other one basically. DA it and whatever, and really fine tune it in. So hopefully I can do that in a couple of hours, just clean up work, get the holes drilled in it, whatever. So instead of waffling for 45 minutes, I'll just get to it. Righty, so I'm about done with those pieces. I've got a little bit of fine tuning to do, a little bit of filing just in that, what do you want to call it, the piece where the little piece goes in the bottom of the door that locates into there. I don't know even what it was called. It's another bump stop, but it's a door locator, I guess. I've got a little bit of filing to do in there and just dress it up a little bit. There's a couple of little pieces I just want to clean up a little bit more, filing or die grinding or something. I'll turn the camera around and show you. I've cleaned up the top pieces. I've DA'd it and sandblasted it, just trying to kind of match in with the other, just to show you, like, with both pieces cleaned up very similar. I've had the bump stops on both. And I need to probably countersink the holes just a little bit, but to be honest, you almost can't tell just looking at them from here, like 2 feet away, that one was made and one wasn't. So look, I'm probably standing 2 feet away, a little bit more, 2.5, 3 feet away, probably at most. Like I'm leaning on the end of the door. You couldn't, at a general glance, even in that form, nobody would even know that I'd made those pieces. See, there's a little bit of grinding in here that I just want to clean up. And I might countersink because see, these screws just sit in a little bit further than these ones. So that's just little tune-up stuff. But they're made, the rubber bump stops fit in them. I might file just on here because it's not quite flat. But, for what it is. By the time you put a bump stop in there and coat of paint, nobody would ever know. But I'm pretty happy with that shit. I've got to put the other one back on. I've got to clean that other one back up, the top piece, to to this condition, like get all the paint and crap off it. But yeah, I made it. It took a bit of making, like to be honest. Like looking at it, as it looks like a really simple thing to make. You know, you're a strip of steel down here, little U-shaped plate on the bottom, and that, you know, a plate on the top, and that little piece in behind there to cut it. But it's the walking from, you know, from here to the bench to the grind, you know, backwards and forwards 10 times. Make sure this fits, get the position right. You know, make sure it fits in here. You know, cutting it with the plasma cutter, or even if we cut it with a cutting disc, you know, cut that rough it out for a start off. Get it fitting, get it that shape fitting, get it low enough to fit on the door. You know, and then once you've got that piece, where you think, okay, yeah, I'm close enough now, then I can start making this piece. You know, you got to trim it out, you got to test fit it in there 100 frickin' times, make sure it's low enough to fit underneath the door, make sure it's nice and even around here, you know, butts up underneath there, nice. You know, get that tacked in there, you know, cut your little U-shaped piece out, measure that. You know, it all takes time, you know. Something that most people would look at and go, oh yeah, you know, make that, you know. Like, oh yeah, you know, couple of 3 hours I'd have that made. Well, you know, took me freaking there 2 days and a bit to make both of them, you know. Well, it was probably, it's more than that. Yeah, it's what it is. It's 2 days and a bit counting today. But, like, yeah, there's a good day and a half, roughly, in each one, you know. It's like you wouldn't think so, but just, it's the screwing around, you know. A good hour plus each piece, just getting the thing to fit before you even start putting it together and, you know, fine-tuning it and welding it and cleaning it up and making the next piece, get that to fit. And then you've also got all the modification here and, you know, modifying this to fit. You know, you've got to take it slow, because if you just rip into it, next thing this doesn't fit, you know, you get a big massive gap and it looks like shit. Sometimes you just got to back off a little bit and not go balls out, and yeah, you get it done. Piece looks good, looks right, you know, and you don't have to do it again. You know, like, you could make it a little bit better, but shit, you know, I could have chopped in here down and put a back piece on it, but by the time you get upholstery there and all that sort of thing, and to be honest, I haven't seen the real thing, so I don't even know if there's a piece on the other side like this, you know, like whether it's a full cast piece or whether it is just a trim over piece, if you know what I mean. It might be just a trim over piece like that. It comes up and it's got a angled edge. It just sits up on top of the inner timber, and it's just there to cover those screw holes and put a locator in and a dowel, and then the upholstery comes up. The upholstery, you know, sort of just got a little puff that sits there, you know, that obviously sits up against the inside of the door to help, obviously, weather seal, wind seal, you know, on an open top car, but you know what I mean, like that's what it is. But to be honest, like if you brought somebody in here and didn't know that I had made that, I think they would just go, oh yeah, they're pretty cool pieces, shit, wonder how they made them, you know. I go, well yeah, I just made that one. They're like, what? Shit, I wouldn't know that was, you know, that was original and that wasn't. Like most people wouldn't at a normal glance. You know, walk past you, you'd really stand there and study to know that I'd made that, which is what you want, you know. You can point it out and go, yeah, I made that piece. And they're going to start looking at it and go, oh, shit, did you? Yeah, far out. Yeah, I couldn't tell, you know, and that's what you want. That's what it's got to be. When you go into this kind of level, you know, I mean, I wouldn't call this, again, concours, you know. It's going to be a really, really, it should be a really, really nice restoration when I'm finished. But, you know, there's a level above this again too, you know, like you see these guys, you know, build a car, you know, like this, it's going to take about 12 months or a little bit longer by the time we get all the last little pieces on here. But you see those guys that build those cars that go to, like the Riddler Awards, and, you know, they spend, you know, $1 million and 5 years building them, you know, hand-built stuff. You know, it's like, actually, that guy on that Rust Valley, not the Rust Brothers, but that guy that was in that area that was near them that built that, was it a Nova or whatever it was, and the guy spent 1.5 million on it or whatever it was, or 1.2 million. Guy had been building it for 5 years. You know, that's you know, the next couple of levels above the sort of type thing. But anyway, yeah, you try and do the best you can, and the more you do it, the more you learn, and you know, you figure out cleaner and faster ways to do things. But sometimes, you know, that's what it takes to make that piece. Anyway, catch you later on. Well, holy crap, it's windy today. It's windy last night too. Like, I don't know how strong the winds were last night, but they were getting pretty rough there at one point. I don't know, maybe 50, 60 miles an hour, maybe a bit stronger. They were predicting 130 kilometres an hour, roughly. That was the warning, but that's, I don't know, what's that, like 70 or 80 miles an hour, I guess, 75 miles an hour winds. So it's not quite that at the moment, but it's pretty freaking blustery out there. So what am I going to do this morning? I think I might have a wee play with these pieces in the door. Taking these little trims up for that. If I'm working what I'm going to do there. Obviously, study what I've done here and just work out exactly. I think what I might do is, I don't know if I'll make them tapered like this or whether I'll just make them straight. To be honest, I don't know actually what I should do. I'll pull up the photos from that Queenstown vehicle, see if I can see what the trim looks like, eh? Well, that didn't help at all. Funny, 26 didn't have them. Just sort of like the carpet come up to the edge. Oh, I don't know if they were missing from that vehicle or not. But it's funny. Dave, the guy that's got the one in Australia, the white one, that I got all the dimensions off for a lot of stuff, his doesn't have these either. They're different, completely different. So I've copied these from like the 26 because that's what these look like, but his are totally different. So these could be possibly later door catch plates, if you know what I mean. It's not to say this is a 25. We think it's a 25. Well, we're sort of 100% sure, but not totally 100% sure, you know, like 99% sure it's a 25. But it's not to say that it might be the end of 25 or whatever. We know the motor was cast at the end of 24, according to the engine numbers, but it's not to say that this car wasn't made later in 25 and had some of the 26 stuff on it. You don't know, like, as they build stuff, they constantly, you know, like they might do, I don't know, like say there was 20,000 cars of this made, or 20,000 Studebakers made in 25, I don't know. Just say a ballpark figure, there's 20,000 or 30,000. They might have got halfway through the models that they were making, that they made 20,000 of or 30,000 of, and thought, okay, yeah, we've come up with an improvement for that. We'll put that on now, you know? And all of a sudden, all the rest of them, even though they're still things, they had something different on them, you know? That happens all the time. Obviously, with modern vehicles, it's even worse. You know, you can get 4 months down the line and then something's completely different to that same model, but you know, and it's 9 times out of 10 it's something electrical or something like that. You know, they'll come in and they'll change some body module, or you know, like an ABS module. They've discovered they've got a minor issue with it, so they've modified it and changed it and made it better, and that's one won't plug into the other car. You know, like you'll get, you know, one might have been awake the week before and one might have been the week after, but that one week before they changed it, that stuff won't plug into it. So you got to get, you know, after a date such and such, you've got to get something off that vehicle to fit your vehicle, type sort of thing. But half the other stuff will fit it, you know. That sort of shit happens all the time. It's not to say that these, this stuff, you know, isn't 25. Or I know that's a front door one, but from the photos of the 26, that's what these are like. even though it's a duplex, which has got the hard, it's wooden frame, but canvas, hard canvas top, if you know what I mean. But it's still open sides. That hasn't got the full windows in it, so it's still got the pull-out sides, if you know what I mean, like a rag top. So it's funny, they made like the Tourers like this, basically a rag top. Then they made a duplex, which had rag top sides but a hard roof, and then they made full windowed sedans, or 4 doors or whatever. Like, it's weird how they did that sort of things. Like, you wonder why they made so many variations back then, but yeah. But anyway, so yeah, depending, I suppose, what these parts come off, like, we're only guessing that we've got the exact right bits, but obviously it's not hard to, when you got parts from so many vehicles. You get a piece like, hey, yeah, that bolts on, screws on, but it's not to say that it wasn't not meant to be on this car, if you know what I mean. So that's the unfortunate thing of having a vehicle a bit like this, unless it was complete together and hadn't been all pulled apart and dismantled. Like, it's very hard not to know, especially when you come in at a certain point, and pieces have been missing and you got to make stuff, or you're just using what you've got and you make it work, and try and get it as close as you can from what you can see from off other vehicles. But yeah, I know the rear door opening, these pieces here are quite different on that 25 that's in Australia. That's the same thing, the open top Tourer. So these mightn't be right, but it's what we've got, so that's what you use. And according to that 26, it doesn't have those little trim plates on it. It doesn't even have them on the front. Whether they're missing or not, I don't know. But it's a low mileage car. It's like 50,000 miles or something like that. It's a real survivor. It's never been screwed with. Just maintenance, basically. And I think it's had an electric fuel pump on it. That's probably about the only thing it's really had changed in its whole life, 90-something years of life. It's a full, true survivor. So yeah, so that doesn't help me. I'll have a look. Dave did send me some photos. I'll have a look to see whether I can catch the edge of those pieces on that show the funny doors. I'll have a look through my emails and see if I can find them. Nah, still none the wiser, because David sent me a couple photos and a comment on a Facebook post. That's where the photos were. Yeah, and he hasn't still really got anything. He's made a little cap up edge, but it's nothing like what any of this stuff is. So I'm just going to make something that looks a bit like the front ones. What else can I do? I'll make it work. I'll have a little bit of a figure out and just make something similar, I suppose. Yeah, this stuff's too heavy. I had a wee measure up. It's 1.6 mil thick, which is it's 1.6. It's about 16 gauge, like as in aluminium, or aluminum. But yeah, it's way thicker than I actually thought it was, which is a bit of a pain, because the other piece over here, the bit that it's made from, is it's a touch over 1 mil thick. So I really needed something about 1 mil thick, just so it would bend easier. I can kind of get this shape in it, like I can start it, if you know what I mean, on the folder, quite, within reason, but because it's so thick, then I can't get it to form, because I was looking for a piece of steel, but I didn't have a piece of steel, so I thought I'd just get a piece of hardwood, and then mill a piece out that I could maybe form that into, just having a play for a start off, obviously, and to see what I could do with it. But yeah, I think because it's so heavy, it just doesn't want to move. Well, it would, but you're going to have to beat the snot out of it, and you're going to actually, I think you're going to tear it before you bend it. If I had something a bit more suitable, I probably would actually play with the mill. The biggest problem too is I didn't realise, you got all this bed to play with, but like I can barely move the length of the vise. I thought it might have had a bit more swing in it. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That means you actually get a, because I need about a foot of thing to actually make a proper form to actually mill those two pieces out. And the biggest problem is I'd have to just mill one straight, and then make something that I can push into it with the press to make it out of steel. But I haven't got anything here that's sort of thick enough or big enough. I thought about maybe using that bit of scrap, but it's nowhere really long enough. And like I thought about maybe cutting that and welding it together. But it's sort of, it would be okay, but it's, by the time you weld it together, it's never going to be flat. And then you'd have to shift it in here to mill it, and then you never know if your line's going to be dead perfect. So, yeah, sort of at a catch-22 there. I just think this stuff is too thick. Unfortunately, they've given them some it's fairly heavy for what it needs to be. Like sure it's going to last, but yeah, I don't know. I have a bit more of a play, but because basically I was going to try and get it to form into that, use the end of the hammer to help form it in, and then maybe push something else down into it. You know what I mean? I can have a wee play with something else, maybe even sit it on the press and just have a wee play. But yeah, I just think it's too heavy. It's quite a bit heavier than that. Right guys, so I started wet sanding. Just too many hassles with that piece of aluminium or aluminum. But just been wet sanding this back with a bit of 600 wet and dry. Just trying to half pipe repair it for maybe put some of that black chassis paint on it to obviously then give it another rub back just to see how good they are. But I'm actually fairly happy with how they look. It's a bit hard to see because it dries out, because it's freaking so much wind and so hot at the moment. It's really, really freaking, I don't even know, I'm not sure what the temperature is, but it's really quite hot and dry because it's a dry north wind that we get here that comes from the north. But I'm pretty happy with how they look so far. But I have rubbed through primer in a few spots, which is okay, but I'd rather do that and flatten it off a bit more than, and put another coat over top before we do get to paint, obviously. Oh, that freaking sun's a pain in the ass. And it's so freaking windy I can't have all the doors open because it just about blows everything around in there. But I'm pretty happy with it. Oh god, you can't even see. What a pain in the ass. I'll try and come around the side, see if you can kind of see. It's really hard to you can see it looks reasonable anyway, without just trying to follow that light line from the rear windows. Just try and give you an idea, but it's drying out too. That's the biggest problem now. But that's what I've been doing for the last while anyway. Not terribly long. I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes I suppose. Just wet sanded that one back. So I might just switch through some of these other panels and wet sand them back, and just see how they all come up. Obviously let them dry off and have a look for some marks and whatever. Just see what else it needs. Hopefully not a lot. Then maybe another coat or something like that, just to maybe bring up the odd little mark or something like that. But it should be getting really, really close. I think I probably should spray these with that chassis blade, a couple of coats on them, and just wet sand them again. I've only got 600 here. I did think about getting a couple of sheets of 800 as well, but I think 600 should be plenty. But yeah, I'll wet sand the other front fender, or mudguard, or whatever you want to call it. I'll wet sand that, and then I can let that one dry off and blow it off, and then I can see if I've missed anything. Because it's a bit hard when it's wet to see whether you've missed any marks or whatever, like haven't rubbed it all off. So we can come back and have another rub if we need to. But yeah, just to get it nice, but frick it's windy, it's a pain in the ass. So if I have that door open there, that in one, it's just about freaking picking the panels off the ground, off the table. I just now I need one open so I can get a wee bit of like a bit of light in here, but if I open that second one, God, it's a pain in the ass. I probably could open the other end one, but yeah, that's all right. But I'll carry on. Hey, yeah, guys. It's just interesting. My old Dodge Phoenix in Tasmania is for sale again. So the guy I sold to must have sold it again to another guy that's got another one that must be rough and rusty or whatever it is. It's been airbrushed with frickin' Harry Potter and shit all over it. Not my one, this other one. It's purple, but it looks like it's quite rotten. Whereas the one I done all the metal work to it and started doing body work. You know, probably another, it probably would have been a few weeks, and I probably could have been half by reasonable painted. But yeah, it's for sale again, so I've been digging through my old videos trying to find some little bits and clips and footage and photos, because for some reason I can't find the photos. They'll be somewhere in amongst the folders and folders and folders of photos, so it just was easy just to look through the videos and just take screenshots of the different stuff. But it's quite weird. There's 6 videos missing because I numbered them all like I'm doing these ones. It goes to 14 and then it jumps to 20, and it's weird. I don't know, there's like 6 videos missing. I don't know, 6? Yeah, 5, 6, whatever. Yeah, it would have been 15, 16, yeah, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. So there's 5 videos missing. Yeah, that was weird. Can't do piss all about it now. I don't think, because it was all done on my old laptop, I think, at about that point. Yeah, because I was in the midst of building the computer I've got now, I think. Not in the grill shell, truck shell, but when I actually first started buying the pieces. But anyway, I'm about to head back to work, so I'll go do some more sanding. See you shortly. Alrighty, guys. So yeah, my old Dodge Phoenix in Australia is for sale again. I'll do a couple of screenshots of the ad of the 2 different cars. So yeah, if I probably was still there, I wish I'd known about that purple one at the time, because I probably would have had the bloody thing actually running and driving, because they only want $6 grand for both of them. The purple one looks like it's been registered in recent times as well. It says it's running and driving, but just obviously the bodies. It's probably not shot, but it probably needs everything that I've done to the other one. Because I replaced between the trunk lid and the rear window and into the parcel shelf. I replaced all that, all the panels, all the layers in there, bottoms of the quarters, the inner piece, like the extensions in the trunk or the boot floor, except for one part of it, because I couldn't get it off the other car. It had been already cut off for another repair section, like the whole fender. That had been all cut off, so I managed to get 80% of the trunk floor, and I reused that, and I patched a couple little pieces out of my one into it, and there was like a little piece between the inner wheel well and the back, up to that trunk extension. Like it was only, whatever, 4 or 5 inches in that section that I didn't replace. I just repaired what I had to. There, I think the left front door, put a new bottom on. Heaps of little pieces. I think I cut a piece out of one of the, the dog legs that go around the front part of the rear wheel arch. I think I pulled that off in one place, and did some repair work in there. Just lots of little pieces, a footwell in the driver's side, right-hand side, driver's side front floor. I remade that. Did some repairs to the tunnel, because they chopped the tunnel out and put something else in there, a different tunnel of a completely different vehicle, because they'd changed the motor and trans. For some reason they freaking did that. I don't know why they did that. Stupid, but anyway, they did. They did quite a few funny things, like they chucked the subframe mounts off the engine and modify that, so I put another subframe in it and rebuild all the front suspension arms. I did quite a bit to it, and then obviously started doing the bodywork after I managed to cut all the rust and everything out of it, replace stuff and made stuff. And because I made that, the bottom skins and the trunk pieces, the extensions into the rear quarters, I made all that. I made the front floor pan. And laid the little bits and pieces. I made the front door skin, put on the front door skin. I think I did some repairs on other doors too. I can't remember exactly. I repaired quite a lot of stuff, straightened a lot of stuff out. Probably the only thing I probably would have done if I had done it again now, because it had had such a hard life in the rear quarter, the whole rear quarters, because they had been fairly abused. I possibly would have, while I had the bottom of the quarters off and while I had that rear section out, I think I would actually, if you'd done it properly, I would actually pulled the whole quarter out and panel beaded it off, because it needed quite a bit of attention in around the wheel arches, I think, because I put some pieces in around the wheel arches and did the inners and outers and repaired quite a few bits and pieces. It would have been a lot easier, and you could have got it really straight and actually straightened a lot of the damage out. I did my best to straighten it out. It was still quite wavy, because I was still learning to heat shrink then, and I hadn't worked it out at that point. But like, I could get it to do a reasonable amount, but I hadn't learned how to hammer it and dolly it the way that you meant to make it pull things flat. I was still experimenting at that point. That's progress, you learn things as you go and pick things up as you're watching videos. It's amazing what you can watch on them, learn off a video. So yeah, like at that point, but now I actually probably would have pulled the whole skin off. And if I had a planishing hammer or run it through the English wheel, and I kind of straightened a lot of it out. And a planishing hammer and just even a hammer and dolly, could have straightened a lot of it out, and then just spot welded it back on around the seams. Like, I've pulled plenums off cars, drilled them all out to get in there, because the outside panel's all right, but there's some rotten underneath, so I pulled that off, done the repairs, and welded it back on again. You've only got to drill the spot welds out, and you might have to weld up the odd hole, because they've drilled too far or cut too far, but it's easy to weld a couple of little pieces up and then put that original skin back on. You can treat it all for us while you're in there, surface rust and whatever. So yeah, I probably would have done that. I probably could have pulled both rear quarters off it. I would have had to do a lot of strengthening, like some obviously some metal bracing, but I could have done that. Could have braced it all up, pulled both rear quarters off while I had some of that other shit out, and done the whole lot and panel beaded it all. And I probably could have put the trunk floor in and then that sort of stuff, because that would have been all easier while that was all out. But I got it done, so it doesn't matter, because it wasn't really the super straight in the back end, but it was reasonable. It was better than it was, and I'd repeat all the rock. But, so what am I up to here? I'm contemplating actually sanding this back with just rubbing this top piece back with 240 in the centres, because I've added a bit of extra material in it. It's not bad, but it's not 100% where I want it. I think if I might get that skinny block and see how that brown paper handles wet and dry. I might even put 320 on it or something like that, and just wet and dry with that long sort of foam block. See if it'll wet and dry anyway, and wet and dry these pieces into the centre, and just see if I can feel just a little bit. It's a little bit wavy. It's not 100% perfect, because I've sort of done that repair work a bit later on. I think I just need to block it out, see if I can lift or take a bit of that waviness out. Might need another prime through here, just because it's sort of the way I did it. But yeah, they don't look bad, they look actually pretty good, but it's just, I can feel it's a little bit wavy through there, and I know that if I paint it black, it's not going to be right. So maybe another block out and just another prime through the centre to pull it up. So I'll carry on and I'll see what we get on. Come back to you. Well, hopefully you can see right here. I'll try and catch the the lights and whatever. There is the odd wave in the water, you know, if you know what I mean, or where it's starting to dry out, but trying to get the reflections and whatever. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. It's not, and it's probably never ever going to be dead perfect, but I think it'll be pretty shit hot with another prime and maybe another block back. It'll probably only just give it, you know, maybe another thickish coat, just to bring it back to the bare, cover the bare spots again, and where I've rubbed it through the body fuller. Because I actually, surprisingly, this stuff holds up alright. Like I don't know how long term, but it hasn't fallen off the block yet. It probably will. It's probably going to fall apart on me, but that's a bit of 320, that brown 320, and I just used it wet and dry just to help block this out from this edge back again, crisscrossed it all the way, and then I just went back over it by hand with the this little block here, that block, just with the 600 wet and dry again. Just went over it again, and just, you know, just try and smooth it out, get rid of the scratches from the 320 basically. Not that it's that bad from 320, but you know, just to try and bring it up, you know, to polish that surface again. So hopefully do another prime and it should be good, I think. I don't see anything else, but I haven't looked super hard. I've been sort of concentrating on this piece. I know this piece here looks all pretty good. I might just have to clean this here up a little bit where this, I think it's filled a bit of paint up in there. I might just have to scrape that out and just be careful when we blow more primer in there, just to make that line nice and positive. Well, reasonably positive. You know what I mean? But I think that's almost ready to go. I'll have another look back through here to make sure it feels right and looks right. It's a bit of it's a bit of a problem spot in there, but it doesn't feel too bad now. Might be a little mark in there, but another block out, another wee coat. And not that I really want it. I was hoping not to put any more product on it, but I think it just needs a little bit. It's not bad. It's like really, to be honest, you could paint it. But I know there's probably another coat will just bring it up a little bit better, you know. Whether I wonder if I should put black on it or not. If there's bare metal, you know, where I've rubbed through on the edges and stuff, because I've been trying to make it better and better and better. There's a couple of little ripply spots on the edges too, which, you know, will help from another coat of primer or two. Like, I don't plan on putting like a shitload on it. It just needs a little bit, just to help, you know, with a little blemish. But they're not bad. It's not bad at all. Like, yeah, if you painted it like the average man would be, I think that'd be pretty impressive as you walked around it. You know what I mean? But I'm going to do the same to this now. I'm going to block it back with the 320 across the centre piece, and then I'll go back to 600 like this. Anyway, I'll carry on. Right, so just been blocking this back. Obviously the water leaves a little bit of a rip on it because it pulls it off, but looks pretty good to me. I think that'll work out pretty good. So that one blocked back and broke through the primer just a little bit here, but we can touch that up when we do everything else, and then just give a very, very light rub back before you obviously paint. But That's cool. That's that one done. Switch to the next one now. These are all pretty much done, I think. And once these are, dried off, I'll get all the shit off them, give them a good clean down, and just have a real good look over. Make sure there's nothing jumping out at me, if you know what I mean. But I think these will be pretty good. Sweet. Want to fire away, boys and girls. Righty, I think I might call it for the day. My back's freaking giving me a bit of jip. Well, just it's being a pain in the ass, basically. All in the back. So yeah, I've blocked these 4 out. So yeah, hopefully I'll get a bit more done tomorrow. I might wet sand all this other stuff. Maybe get into the body. I'll have to work out something. See if I can get something better to make those little trim pieces up, so I can get these bits finished. And I'll also need to look at this wood in here. Need to look at that. That's not going to be a big job. Well, I don't think it's going to be a big job, but I think the wood on the back of this probably needs replaced too, I think. I'm pretty sure there's timber on the back of that. We have a look on this side, might be easier. Yeah, there's timber in there too, but that's not too bad. It's a wee bit dozy, but we'll have a decent look at it. It'd be quite cool to keep some of the original pieces, like the actual timber if we can. Anyway, and there probably needs a piece up in here too by the looks of it. I think there is meant to be a piece. Not that one. Pretty sure. Yeah, that's a repeat of that. But I think there's a piece here. I think I've seen it. It goes up in there. I'll have to have another look at some point, like a better look. Although we're not looking now, but so I've seen some of those pieces, and I haven't thrown that stuff away because I thought it's always handy for a pattern. I don't know if it's in amongst this crap here or not. I have seen it, but whether it wasn't that piece, if you know what I mean. I need to have a better look. Even though something looks rough and crappy. Down here. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Pretty sure it's one of those bits down in there. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll have to dig that out tomorrow. That's the piece for in here. It's got that. It's got that slot in it for the handbrake or emergency brake, or whatever you guys want to call it over there in the America lands. We call it a handbrake, which kind of makes sense. You pull it on with your hand, or park brake. But yeah, you guys call it an e-brake, an emergency brake. Yeah, I suppose you can use it in emergency, but I wouldn't. Anyway, all right. We'll catch you later on. Somebody bought me a calendar too. I better not get too close though. The funny bit is I don't even know where it come from. It just appeared there, and somebody put it up there. I'm not sure if it's. I'm not quite sure if it would be the owner, but it could have been his son for a while. But anyway, we'll catch you tomorrow.